Welcome to the first AJ Sports Show this 2024 football season. College football's week 1 is in the books. It is done with. We're moving on to week 2. Before we get to week 2, let's review all these games from week 1. I won't even get to the week 0 Florida State. I'll get to that later. So the simple ones are the Thursday, Missouri, Utah, Kansas all crushed their inferior competitions. NC State did not look way too good against Western Carolina. It was tied at halftime at one point. They were actually trailing in the fourth quarter at one point, but NC State would win. Oklahoma absolutely destroyed Temple. The Sooners, which is a team I'm a fan of, looked very good. Unfortunately, they lost their best receiver. Well, now their second best receiver due to a foot injury. Sounds a whole lot of fun. Arnold played pretty solid in his 2024 season. Deion Burks had 3 touchdowns. Jalil Farouk, he had that one big catch. Unfortunately, he's gone for a while. Sooners defense looked great. Temple could get nothing going offensively. So, Sooners start the season 1-0. Their next game is Tulane. The real test will be that Tennessee game. Clemson and Georgia. Man, Clemson's offense is still stuck in neutral. And my God. Clay Klubnik is just not your answer. I mean, he's not very good. I mean, Georgia didn't do too great on offense, but they got it going in the second half. Beck did what he needed to do. Nate Frazier had some good runs. Georgia has not really any great wide receivers, but so far they look to have a nice selection of them. And Georgia's defense, once again, dominates like any other Georgia defense you have seen in the Kirby Smart era. So the Dogs, they're going to be a challenge for anybody, just like any other year. Clemson, they can still win the ACC, hilariously enough. Nothing in the ACC has impressed me or anybody, let's be honest here. We'll get to another team that just is a disaster. That'll be for a little later. Ohio State crushed Akron 52-6. Oregon, man. How the hell do you only get 2.9 yards rushing against Idaho? Yeah, Dale Gabriel did light up numbers, but man, just a few mis-executed plays. I mean, you missed a field goal, you fumble at deep in Idaho territory, you decide to randomly. My God, Oregon, you're better than that. You're better than only beating Idaho by 10 points. You're better than that. And I do expect Oregon to be very good. But week 1 did not impress me. Texas and Alabama both shut their opponents out. Ole Miss absolutely destroyed Furman. Notre Dame beats A&M 23-13. Riley Leonard, let's be honest, didn't look all that impressive, but the running game was very well for Notre Dame. Jeremiah Love had 91 rushing yards and a touchdown. Riley Leonard had some key scrambles. Connor Wigman played horrendous. He didn't even complete 50% of his passes. The A&M running game was solid, but Wigman just was terrible. A&M's probably going to go 6-6. That's just their ceiling. Penn State beat West Virginia, a game that had a bunch of delays. There was a bunch of weather delays this week. Michigan took a while to beat Fresno State, 30-10, but it was close till the fourth quarter. Tennessee destroyed Chattanooga. Oklahoma State won. Their offense looked great. Their defense, South Dakota State scored 20 on them. We'll see how that goes. Miami beats Florida. Florida is bad. I mean, Cam Moore had a great debut. He was making a lot of plays, a couple key scrambles, throwing dimes all over the place. But man, Florida did not look good. Graham Mertz looked awful. DJ Lagway looked bad. And the Hurricanes, there was some off-season hype. Looks like they're living up to it. They start the season 1-0. Florida, They could go 4-8. Florida should beat Stanford, but they play Texas A&M. I say 50-50. Mississippi State, I say like a 50-50. They might lose to UCF. They'll lose to Tennessee, lose to Kentucky, lose to Georgia, lose to Texas, lose to LSU, lose to Ole Miss, and they can beat Florida State. So Florida's they're guaranteed to go 4-8. I doubt they do anything better than that. Which will be good news, which that means they should fire Billy Napier, who has no business coaching in the SEC. That's just the truth. Arizona beat New Mexico, although it was more of a shootout, 61-39. You expect the defense to hold New Mexico to less than 39 points, but Arizona State still won. Although McMillan from Arizona, my God, 304 yards and 4 touchdowns. Absolutely went nuts. Iowa, yes, they did score 40 points, although 34 of them went in their second half. But hey, they scored 40 points. Good job, Iowa. You're scoring some points. Good job. USC beat LSU in a pretty good game. Both offenses had their moments. Both defenses have their moments. Miller Moss and Garrett Newsmeyer played pretty well. And even though LSU's running game is a little bit better, USC still came out on top 27-20. And I think we get to the real fun next. Oh boy, the real fun. Dear God, Florida State's an embarrassment. They lost first to Georgia Tech on a game-winning field goal. Then they got physically dominated by Boston College. Boston College beat them down. Boston College had 263 rushing yards, averaged 5 yards per carry. Florida State only averaged 1.3 yards per carry. And DJU, Mr. I can't even pronounce his last name, he's that bad, only completed 50% of his passes. Because my God, he's bad. And he was bad at Clemson, but Clemson was able to cover up a little bit of his flaws. He didn't look impressive at Oregon State, but he looks way better than those two teams than he looks at Florida State. Because my God, nobody's helping him out. If DJU isn't getting sacked 50,000 times, anytime he does make a good throw, the wide receiver drops the ball anyways. Their tight end had like 2 or 3 drops. And your defense got dominated in the second quarter. Couldn't stop a wheel route. Got ran over all day. 3 running backs. Well, 2. Thomas Castellanos is your quarterback of Boston College. 2 running backs had 70-plus rushing, and your quarterback had 70-yard-plus rushing. And the Florida State season could go real south really quickly. Because let's check out their schedule. They're bye for week 2. They play Memphis next. Memphis can beat them. You should beat Cal. You can beat SMU. I think SMU can win. You're not beating Clemson. 50-50 for Duke. You're getting your ass kicked by Miami. You're probably losing to North Carolina, even when North Carolina is without Max Johnson for the rest of this season. You're losing to Notre Dame. Florida State can genuinely miss a bowl game this year. And even regardless, Florida State's ceiling is 7-5. I don't think they hit that ceiling. I think they go 6-6 max. And I'm strongly, if I was a Florida State athletic director or anybody who has any position of authority in Florida State, I really consider firing Mike Norvell. Because Mike Norvell is an embarrassment of a head coach. Dear God, I haven't lost respect of a head coach that quickly to Mike Norvell. Let's look up this clown's record. This guy did well at Memphis. He gets hired for Florida State in 2020. It was a good hire. Your first 2 seasons were rebuilding years. 2022, you go 10-3. 2023, You were 13-0. Then you get left out of the playoffs. Your entire university throws a bitch fit. Yes, they threw a fit. And they got pounded by Georgia. 63-3. You would think Florida State would go back to their lures just a little bit and reorganize. Nope, Florida State's suing everybody. Suing their own conference for crying out loud. And you go out, lose to Georgia Tech. Okay, Georgia Tech might just want to play so hard. And Georgia Tech looks to be a respectable opponent. But Boston College at Tallahassee. Not only you lose, you get beat down. Florida State is an embarrassment. They're awful. Played garbage all day. DJU is never any good. But what the hell is he supposed to do? He's got nobody to throw to. No offense, no lines protecting him. I don't even know how good your running backs are because your old line is that poor. It's that bad. Now let's get to some other games. SMU struggled in Nevada. Vandy beats Virginia Tech. Man, I thought Virginia Tech was going to do something this year. Their turnout looks like, as of right now, they turn out to be major frauds. Colorado looks like the same Colorado team. Shedeur Sanders, Travis Hunter, that's all you have. No depth. I get that North Carolina State's a good SCS team. But 31-26. I mean, a win's a win, but did not look good doing it. North Carolina edges Minnesota, although North Carolina season's already in trouble. Max Johnson is gone for the year. So bad news there. Michigan State hanging on against Florida Atlantic. Duke didn't look way too good, but they won 26-3. Wisconsin looked bad. They still beat Western Michigan. TCU got their first win this season. They beat Stanford 34-27. Purdue, which is I'm a Purdue college basketball fan. They smacked Indiana State, although their real test is Notre Dame. Purdue's schedule, I don't think they're making a bowl game. Their schedule is just brutal. Out of the four potential top 15 teams they play, the most likely chance they can upset is Notre Dame, which they play them in week 2. If they can beat Notre Dame, things will get interesting. Pitt starts 1-0. Louisville and Maryland both crushed their competition. Cincinnati beat Towson. I think that's how you spell that team. Towson 38-20. IU beats Florida International 31-7. Nebraska wins 40-7. Iowa State beat North Dakota 21-3. Their offense looked uninspiring. Syracuse won. UCLA barely beats Hawaii. UCLA does not look good. South Carolina didn't look great, although they did beat Old Dominion. So that was your week 1 recap. Let's quickly get to week 2. So the first batch of games. Texas travels to the Big House to take on Michigan. That could go either way. Michigan did not look impressive against Fresno State. And Texas's offense is very explosive. Quinn Ewers is a Heisman favorite at this point. I'm not going to say Texas will outright beat Michigan, but I'm very confident that Texas can pull one in the Big House. Michigan's going to have to play a lot better to beat Texas, because Texas will pounce if Michigan plays flat. I will take Texas. I think Texas beats Michigan. Arkansas takes on Oklahoma State. I think Oklahoma State wins. I think their offense is too good. Georgia Tech, they're ranked 23rd. I haven't seen Georgia Tech get ranked since 2014. It's been like a decade. They play Syracuse. My money's on Georgia Tech. I think Georgia Tech can be a pretty solid team this year. They got some momentum going. Kansas State and Tulane. I'll be honest with you. I did not pay any attention to Tulane last year. I'll just be honest with you. They beat UCLA in the Cotton Bowl the other year, 2022. I don't know how great they'll really be this year with a new head coach. I think they can make things interesting. I still think Kansas State wins. Baylor takes on Utah. I think Utah wins. I think Utah can be very good in the Big 12 because Cam Rising's back. Iowa State, Iowa, this is going to be a slog. My money's on Iowa because it's at Iowa. Kansas plays Illinois. I think Kansas wins. Tennessee plays NC State. I think Tennessee wins. I don't think NC State's any that good. Boise State plays Oregon. I think Oregon gets it together. And they'll beat Boise State pretty handily. I think they'll get it together. And the Sooners play Houston. They'll beat Houston. And then they play Tulane. And then they'll play Tennessee. Tennessee's going to be the game for the Sooners. That'll be their first true test. They should be able to crush Houston and Tulane. So that'll be it for college football's review of Week 1. I gave you a little bit of a preview of Week 2, which teams I think are going to do good. So there's your episode of college football's Week 1. I'll do it tomorrow of the NFL Week 1 predictions and just straight up how I think the teams are going to do this season. So that'll be it for this episode, and thanks for watching.